Half the time we forget until about 5 minutes in or so, but if you would like closed captioning, it is available. If you hit at the bottom of your screen, you should see a live transcript CC option. Click that and then hit show subtitle. And if you are here for CTLE, please go ahead and sign in. I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you could also rename yourself on Zoom, that would be really helpful. We have to match up who signed in with CTLE with who attended on Zoom. So I'm putting the link in the chat. Again, that's only if you registered and checked off that you wanted CTLE credit. You'll get 1 credit for this session. So again, just take a minute if you want CTLE credit to go ahead and fill out that simple form. I just put the link in the chat. And if you're not familiar with our office, we have a resource portal that I'm also going to put in the chat. So we have everything from all of our trainings listed there, our different programs. We have a partner page with organizations like NYSCI that you can link to see all of their different supports as well. And then we have a topics page that's different resources centered around themes where you can get different resources, curriculum, etc. So definitely check out the resource portal. I just put that link in the chat as well. Okay, so if you are new to this group, this is our 4th time meeting. So the goals that we've established this school year to create community. So we really appreciate if you're able to have your camera on if you can. We're sharing expertise, adapting resources to our different student populations, and then building a resource bank. So thanks to everybody who's come multiple times. And just one simple thing to think about as we're going through this session is how you can adapt these resources for your student populations. We're all working with very different populations. So just think about, some of the modifications you might make on your end. And just one more time, if you're joining us and you're looking for CTLE credit, just be sure to sign in. The link is in the chat and I'll put it in again right now. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to our speaker today. We're happy to have Kate Maschek with us from the New York Hall of Science. She is a senior science instructor. This is her 2nd session with us today. We had a session for elementary students earlier today. So Kate, thanks for being here again.
Of course, thanks for having me. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so like Pat said, I am unfortunately, but I work at the New York Hall of Science. We are located in Flushing Meadows Park, for those of you that have not heard of us, but we are reopened post-COVID and post-hurricane that we also had to recover from. We are open Thursday through Sunday, I believe, and we just started bringing back in our first school groups since COVID this week, so we're very excited to see students again. I was very excited when Pat brought this up to us because even though I do work at the Hall of Science and I do a lot of science, my background is in special ed. I've done everything from intervention services to being a one-on-one aide. I taught inclusion in 5th and 6th grade. I taught 1st grade inclusion. I was a general ed teacher. I was a special ed teacher. So you are my people and I am ready to talk to you today. So today we're going to be looking at, okay, or like thinking about how can we make media more manageable and more effective in our classrooms, right? So we've come a long way. We used to have this rolling TV and nothing else. And now we have this like multi-conglomerate of things that are out there and available and that our students are more knowledgeable than we are. We're trying to say like, what is that middle ground, right? What works for us, what works for our students, and what works for us as a team. So the resource I'm going to be sharing with you today is our science learning series. So I believe we made these the summer of 2020, right? There was a little bit of a push for some accessible science content. So we made these videos and they are free, they're available, they're on our website, they're on our Vimeo, and they're on our YouTube. There is 5 different videos. They all have a teacher guide and a student guide. So we're going to be taking a look at how we can incorporate these into our classrooms with, in conjunction with hands-on activities. And I will say this too, that even though there's 5 videos, there's multiple activities and multiple lessons within each video. I think they range from about 10 to 15 minutes each, but there's definitely places that they say like, pause here for this thing. Just checking the chat. Yes, I'll get to what you're getting, but I'm going to share with you basically everything that you're seeing today, you will get. Okay, so the activity that I'm going to share with you today is chromatography. And so here I just wanted to put, it's up for debate. Some people call it a GIF, some people call it a GIF. I don't know. I am the geriatric millennial, as they say. So the goal, right, when we do these activities is for our students to absorb the information by any means possible. We recognize that looks very different across the board. But what I always like to do is to provide the same information kind of in a variety of different means. So we're just setting everyone up for success. But at the same time, we're not trying to create any more work for us, because believe me, I know how much work you already have on your plate, how many modifications you're making, how many different levels of learning you're trying to get to. So what I'm hoping we can come to today is kind of a shared expertise on what is that sweet spot, right? What is that not so much work for us, but the most accessible for all of our students. Okay, so I have a few slides that are like geared toward our students that you will have. I wanted to do these so that you can take them and edit them, modify them for your own needs. So, chromatography looks at one of the properties of water. So we would start off by saying, what are some ways that we use water every day? We use water for some important things like bathing, cooking, and drinking. And sometimes we use it for fun things like sports, planting, and just splashing around. But today we're going to look at a few of the different ways that we use water to explore and investigate in science. I have the video here. I'm not going to bore us with it. You didn't come here to watch a video, but I do have it. So the settings are set so that it will play exactly at this activity, but you can edit it to play the whole video, play a part of the video. It's up to you. Oh, my slides are not moving. Okay. Okay, so once again, my goal for making this was to be as useful for as many grades and as many settings as possible. When I first met with Pat and Alana, they explained kind of what format you've been using so far. So I put together a couple of different slides that showcase the materials. In my mind, I was thinking, because this is science, we kind of want to give it that like science feel, to give it that authentic lesson essence to it. So I'm not sure what kind of technology you have, but you could possibly drag and drop these over to the table. And when they shared with me an example of something you've used before, there was like a bunch of outliers. Some were funny, some were like useful, but not for this specific activity. So again, you'll have these to edit it as you see fit. If you want to put whatever outliers you want, you could also add in any type of safety material you would need, whether that's like gloves or goggles or even newspaper. These will be yours to edit. So for this activity, we need markers, coffee filters, and some water. So step 1 is gather materials. Step 2 is to take your markers and to draw on your coffee filters. The drawings really it's up to you, however you want to draw them. I'll give you an example of mine here. It's just some different color markers and some different drawings. See what we have here. After that, you may want to post to your students to make a guess about what happened. We're going to take our filter and we're going to stick it in some water. And so some guesses about what would happen. We'll take our filter and we'll put it into some water. And then as you know, you'll see this, the water traveling up the coffee filter. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to do a little demo of this so you could see what it looks like. Okay. So I have my coffee filter that I just threw on. I'm going to use some water and a small cup. And we'll lower my screen so you can see that. I'm not sure why, but the directions often say to fold it 4 times. I'm not sure why, so I'm just following the directions. And then you want to put it into the cup of water. And one of the tricks I've learned with this activity is to only put it in so much. You don't want to like dump the whole thing in. That way you can really see the water traveling all the way up the coffee filter. Actually, I can see it on my side. I'm not sure if you can see it on your side.
We can see it. Yep.
Cool. And obviously, the longer you hold it in, the more water will travel. And it depends, you know, where you drew on your coffee filter. If you drew more towards the outer ring, it's going to take a little bit longer to get there. I'm going to stop it right here and open it up to show you. Okay. I'm gonna have to lift my camera a little bit. Okay. So you can see how the different colors are separating, and you can see what colors make up the individual colors. And I will show you a few other examples that have dried so far. So here's myself big so I can see.
When you first dunked it in, it seems like the color is just traveling up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's supposed to do?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's so many ways you could talk about this. In the video, they use it to talk about chromatography. You could use it to talk about this morning in the activities we did with the students. We use it to talk about cohesion and adhesion. We just love this activity because it's so simple, but there's so many talking points you can use it as a starting point for. So I'm just going to show you a few. This is one that I did that dried this week. This is another one. And this is a third. I will tell you this too, this fact. So the directions say to use washable markers. However, you'll see that it kind of washes away. So like for that, I used the regular Crayola markers, which I didn't really love the effect of those. I asked another coworker what they've used before, and they used these thin, like journaling markers. I'm sure you could get them. They're definitely on Amazon, but I'm sure they come in a variety of ways. And I think these really helped show the separation of the color a whole lot better than the Crayola markers, because I guess they're not as washable. I'm not really sure. Put that to the side there. Share my screen again. Oh no, I'm not going to share my screen. I'm going to show you another version of this that I wanted to do. I wasn't intending to do this, but I did this with the students this morning, and I think this is a better visual to talk about cohesion and adhesion, and it's just, I think it's a whole lot cooler than the coffee filters. So I have just 2 glasses of water, nothing in them. And then I have this paper towel that just has some markers on either side. I'm going to fold it like this and put it into the 2 cups of water. Let me move my camera down again. And you'll see, you will see the colors traveling up the paper towel, and they'll eventually meet in the middle. And again, this morning we used this to talk about cohesion and adhesion, but this can be anything from a simple, properties of water all the way up to chromatography. And the longer you leave this, they will meet in the middle. I'm going to put this to the side and come back to my slides, and I will show you what this looks like. It does take a few minutes. Okay. Okay, so here's a picture of what it will eventually look like. But I would say less than 3 minutes it takes. And like I said, each of these videos, within each video, each activity comes with both a teacher guide and a student guide. Just as an example, these are the 2 questions for the chromatography activity. So it's what color markers did you use, and what colors did you see after the experiment? Again, I'm not sure what everyone's setting is in their classroom, but I was just thinking back to how I would modify something when I was in 1st grade inclusion. So I did a sentence starter. I gave some options for colors. The bottom, blue, red, yellow, green, is something that could be dragged and dropped to the sentence, right? So it would read, I used, and then they can drag up the blue, the red, the yellow, the green. And then just to kind of highlight what the intention of the videos, they're made to be stopped and started at any point. These 2 screen grabs are from 2 very different, as you could see, points in the video, but they're showcasing kind of the same thing. We try to provide the same information in as many means as possible. Here's a graphic with Cheerios, and then here's another graphic with actual images of what solid liquids and gases look like.
Are you screen sharing right now? Because we're not seeing.
I guess not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yep.
Okay. Give me a second.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Should I go back to the modified thing?
That would be
Did
great.
we see
Yeah.
this? Okay. Let me start from here. Okay. So just to rewind a little bit, each video has a number of activities, and each activity comes with both a teacher guide and a student worksheet. So I took 2 questions from the chromatography activity. Let me just lower the percent of view so I could see. What color markers did you use, and what colors did you see after the experiment? And again, I don't know what everyone's settings are in their classroom, so I made modifications from my experience of what I would use when I was in 1st grade inclusion. So I did a sentence starter for each. I gave some examples of color on the side, and on the bottom here, the blue, red, yellow, green, I made them so that they could be dragged and dropped up to the top, so that in cases where that's the most useful for a student, the sentence starter is there, and they could just fill in the color by dragging it up to the sentence. Okay, and again, the intent when we made these videos was to kind of give the same information in as many different means as possible. So here we just have 2 different ways of sharing the same information, right? There were the videos talking about the different states of matter. So we use this graphic with the Cheerios, and on the right, you'll see we use actual images of solid liquids and gases, just to kind of hit all different learner needs. So we're going to go into breakout groups in a moment, but I just wanted to kind of go through everything else that I put here on the slides that you'll eventually get. There are a few other activities in this Messy Matter video. There's one that focuses on the water cycle. So all of the materials are here on this slide. And part of the activity is labeling the water cycle. So I have a few variations of that. You can drag and drop the names. You can write on the diagram. I can't do it now in perspective view, but you can kind of drag the square over and reveal it. And you could use a more elaborate diagram depending on your grade level. And the final activity in the Messy Matter video is about surface tension, and all the materials that requires are on the side here. Same thing, you can drag them over to the table, and you could add or remove materials as you see fit. So this is just one resource that we have. It's a really good way of taking kind of a video and a hands-on activity and bringing them together to give your students access to a variety of means of the same information. So the question that we would like you to kind of think about today is, or two questions that we're going to think about. How can we make media more manageable or more effective? And how can we use media to support multimodal learning in science investigations? So I think, Pat, we said we were going to break up by grade band.
Yes, so let me launch a breakout groups, and I will pop these questions to you in the chat so that you can see them in the breakout rooms as well. All right, so let me open them on up.
It looks like we're all back. I don't know about you, but I just learned so much in the short time that I was with only 2 people. So I would love to hear from each group. I think something that I heard I was in the middle school group, something that I heard was just, how siloed we've all been, to just to have even one other person to talk to bounce ideas off of, to see how they're doing the same lessons, was just useful. Maybe we can start with the elementary group.
Yeah, no, what we clicked on the lesson, we kind of looked through some of the lesson plan. One of the things that we were saying that was really helpful, the fact that we can edit and work on the slides, the fact that the lesson plan is so well scripted, it's easy for us to make smaller lessons out of them, because what happens is our kids are on such varying level that we want to make sure some students are engaged, but we still want to make sure that the students that are on different levels still have access to the lesson. And it's almost like being able to teach 2 different lessons at once, like giving different students access to different things. I like the fact you can drag and drop. You can have one student over here or a group of students engaged in the same part of the lesson, but maybe they're a little bit more advanced. I like how everything is just displayed and how it's set up.
We know you're doing so much all day long, so we really wanted to just do as much of the work for you as we can.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That looks like it's really helpful.
Thank you. Oh, I was in middle school. I will turn it over to you 2 ladies because I've done enough talking, but I think I'll say this first. It was nice to hear 2 educators who don't know each other share so many resources with each other in a matter of 10 minutes. Okay. Oh, sorry, I lost my video for a second. Do you want to share? Do you want me to share?
Oh, okay. So I couldn't get on when thing was going on. So we were able to kind of share about different apps that, Catherine was using. And then I was also able to share the lesson plan that I did in order to get to a certain type of lesson for the kids to understand, to kind of break it down. And we were also to share different hands-on activities that we did. And we had kind of similar ideas and mindsets. So I thought that was pretty cool to, share out and get some more information. I even wrote stuff down. So I really enjoyed that as well.
I think what I heard a lot of was just like pairing as much hands-on with the information as possible. I think that was something that both Catherine and Annabelle shared. They both shared. I'm going to share this because I've never heard of this, and I wrote it down. Annabelle did a lesson about the digestive system, and she used the blender to show how food is broken down. And she paired it with a lesson in Amplify, and there was a really nice diagram about how everything and all the molecules are broken down in our body. So I think, you know, both the visual of the blender with there was like a tactile diagram, I think, paired with the information was really nice. And Catherine shared another resource that I'm sure you all may or may not have heard of. It's called Gizmo Labs. They're virtual labs that she has her students work on. I think they work on them individually and they can kind of self-pace. I think I covered everything.
Would you be able to put that link in the chat? Kate, I know you may not have it, but who shared it again? I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, I can put it in. No
Oh, great.
problem.
Thank you. All right, I think we had the high school group next, if anyone would like to share.
Guys, so Jasmine and I were talking about, we were answering the first question that you had issued, Pat. And I think we both kind of agree that one of the first things that we have to do to really bring media within the classroom is parent involvement. And I know that might sound a little loopy, but I have parents, Jasmine has parents that are still trying to figure out the system. You know, the DOE did not do a good job 2 years ago preparing parents for how to participate actively online, whether it's in Google Classroom or it's on IXL or it's another app. And I think that as we were talking, we both realized, like, her and I were creating content on YouTube channels and set up that the DOE had nothing to do with. And if we engage our parents differently, I think we'll be able to engage our students more appropriately within the classroom. I mean, I use this as an example. I have a student who loves to watch YouTube, but she only watches it for the ads so she can click on the X so the ad goes away. And that's what she wants to do. I can't get my kids excited about a laptop or an iPad for the life of me. But if I put YouTube up on the smartboard, hey, what's up? This is great. So I think if we go back and look at how we engaged parents 2 years ago and how we can change that and build up to, we'll see media playing a different role in each classroom. Now that's kind of what Jasmine and I were really kind of hunkering in on.
Oh, Kate, you're muted.
Muted.
2.5 years later, and we're still stuck doing this. I hope that everyone got something from their shared grade band group. Is there anything anyone wanted to share that they did not get a chance to?
You know, I'm just gonna add on. I just know that for the 3rd grade class that I have, if I thought back maybe 2 years, they did not have a lot of experience with using technology. Fast forward, the kids that I'm looking at now are very tech savvy. And the fact that we have these like virtual labs, someone, I forgot the name, shared another link. I think it was Blookit, B-L-O-O-K-E-T. I think it's still in just the fact that we're here sharing all these resources, because I've never heard of Blookit or even Gizmo Lab, the virtual labs. I just feel like the more we as educators get together and is able to share information and introduce each other to like new things that we're using in different parts of the school with different students, I think we have to now get involved in technology a lot more, because we need to use it as a tool to really get kids engaged. Like you were saying, your kids don't like it, they only like YouTube. Let's get them away from YouTube and get them into the virtual labs, to get them to go on slides where they're actually dragging and dropping. Like, I feel like that's the new way of teaching, right? And I'm excited. I'm excited.
I know I was on mute that time. I want to come to your class, Amar. Do you feel? I feel like you got the fire today. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please use me as a resource for anything science related. What I shared with you was just one thing that we have. We have so much. And again, our website is kind of a little clunky right now, but we do have so many resources that are available. I hope that you were able to get something out of both what I shared and what your colleagues shared. And thank you for having me today. I'm going to open up this time to any questions you may have about science or the whole of science in general.
Yeah, so I know that before we would contact our school secretary. I know that there's a link that she sent out for field trips. So what we can do, like say for instance, we want to book a trip, what will we do? Go on your site and see what's coming up, and then get that information and add it to that link?
I'm not sure. I don't know how it worked beforehand, but I
Yeah.
do know now that it's all it's all on the website. You used to have to like call and make an actual reservation. Now it's all on the website.
Okay.
We just opened to school groups last week. We're open Thursday, Friday. Those are only 2 school days. We're like slowly adding in more days as there's more requests. So if you would like to come, make that request and we'll like slowly add more days.
Okay.
We are open next week for Schools Out Week. And there'll be a whole lot more hours like after spring break. We are accepting school groups. I think that's as much as I can say.
I'll check it out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I make a quick plug, Kate?
Yes, go ahead. I forgot you were here.
Surprise plug. So also with NYSCI being open, I think this might be pretty new, but there's free Friday hours. So from 2 to 5 p.m. on Fridays. It's a little bit hidden on our website, but there's a community page that, let me drop that in the chat in a moment. But there is a way to reserve tickets. Right now it's day of, so Friday morning, you decide you want to come to NYSCI in the afternoon. You can make a reservation online, come by from 2 to 5, and it's free every Friday. And then there are some walk-ups as well. Reservation preferred, but walk-up is okay. Let me find that link and I'll drop that in the chat for y'all.
All right, and while that's happening, I have a couple of just closing things to share. So thank you again to Kate and Karen. I want to make sure that if you are here for CTLE credit, you are go ahead and signing out. So let me put the link in the chat. All right, so there's that. And just a couple other things. Once we have all the materials, I'll put everything that Kate was sharing earlier, put it together in our shared PLC Google Drive folder, which is right in the chat here. So there's, in addition to sessions from today, they'll probably be in there by the end of the week. We'll also have materials from the previous sessions. And also wanted to plug our last event of today. We've had 3 events. We had kind of our Earth Day early this year. We have an event about becoming a student climate justice advocate. It's gonna be tonight from 5:30 to 6:30. That's for educators and middle and high school students. So if you're interested in coming to that, I'm gonna put that link in the chat. And that is it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Kate and I will stick around for a couple more minutes if anybody does have any questions. But otherwise, thanks for coming.